Hello and welcome back to Requirements 101, Module 5. In the previous module, we looked at the paradigm shift we need to make in our industry where it concerns the requirement. We explained that a modern requirement expression consists of the requirements statement, plus a set of attributes, such as the rationale, the priority, and the status. These attributes not only strengthen the requirements statement, but they make the implementation and management of requirements on projects much more efficient. And that is one of our ultimate goals: efficient execution of successful projects. In Module 5, we lock our focus back onto the requirements statement and cover a couple of basic rules on good requirements writing, the correct use of spelling and punctuation. Let's start with spelling. It's not everyone's strongest skill at school, and we were pleased when the Cognition and Brain Sciences unit at Cambridge University came out with this statement. However, nobody in their right mind would jumble the text in a requirement if only for the simple reason that, according to researchers, it takes 11% more effort to process these jumbled words. And with Requirements 101, we are trying to make life simpler. Now, in our opinion, with the power of modern-day word processors, there really is no excuse for common spelling mistakes and silly typos from slipping into our requirements. It's sloppy, and we are better than that. So using the spell checker to double-check in Word and Excel is definitely a good idea. And the Requirements 101 endorsed best practice. We're not saying to follow it blindly, but to use it as an additional check on top of your own proofreading. No spell checker will come to your rescue if you confuse the words costumier with customer, or a common one we see in requirements, principal versus principal. Another source of potential spelling errors is when we confuse American English with British English. We have seen project specifications where there is a random mix of both dictionaries or specifications where there is total disregard for the official project language. Why is that a problem? Surely it's just a tomato thing. After all, we know what is meant, possibly. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. Imagine searching for the word aluminium in a specification mistakenly authored in American English, where the word aluminum has been used. Whoops! Just missed all those requirements on thermally sprayed aluminium. Or searching for any odor requirements for that final product, but not finding any. Oops! Just missed all those critical odor requirements. And was it 300 liters of that important stuff, or 300 liters? A recent specification that we came across used these different spellings all within 10 pages of requirements. Now, English is a silly language at times, but we can do better than this, especially as Microsoft Spell Checker can be used as a very effective second barrier, once the correct language has been set, of course. And projects, make sure you do set the language to be used. Simply saying English is not precise enough. Enough of spelling for now. On to some punctuation. The title of this module is Let's Eat Grandpa. Rest at ease, all grandpas, eating you will not yield better requirements. Clearly, there is a grammatical error in this sentence. It should read, Let's eat, grandpa. A simple comma changes the entire meaning of the sentence. Here are a couple of fun examples for you to work on. For these exercises, you will need a pen and a piece of paper to rewrite the statements you're about to see. Let's start with the first one, an easy one to start off with. Unless cooking man's best friend really is an interest, it is more likely that this is what was intended. My interests include cooking, dogs, shopping, dancing, and watching movies. Now, try this one. Again, rewrite this requirement on a piece of paper so that the intended meaning is correctly captured. How many spotted and corrected the intentional language inconsistency? Is it travelers traveling or travelers traveling? The correct answer depends on what the project has chosen as the official version of English to be used. As for the punctuation error, unless it truly concerns time travelers worrying about their luggage, what was actually intended was, most of the time, travelers worry about their luggage when traveling to Denver International Airport. One of the best ways to know where to correctly place the comma is to read the sentence out loud and see where you would naturally pause, where you would draw a short breath. If it's a short pause, you probably need a comma. In fact, reading a requirement out loud is a really effective way to double-check that you have not ended up with a word soup instead of a clear requirement. However, don't overdo it with the commas. One point of note on the so-called Oxford comma. Let's look at the following sentence. I love my parents, Kylie Minogue and Kermit the Frog. Now, unless your parents really are Kylie Minogue and Kermit the Frog, you could do with using the Oxford comma to avoid any confusion. Slightly entertaining, but relevant to Requirements 101? Absolutely. In 2014, 3 truck drivers sued Oakhurst Dairy in Maine, the United States. They sued for 4 years of overtime that had not been paid out by the company. Maine law requires time and a half pay for each hour worked after 40 hours, but it carved out exemptions, including this one. The court in Maine ruled that it was not clear whether the law exempted the distribution of the 3 categories that followed, or if it exempted packing for the shipment or distribution of them. Oakhurst Dairy had to settle with the drivers and paid out $5 million. Had there been a comma after the word shipment, there would not have been a court case. Another point on punctuation. Watch out with parentheses and other punctuation marks that you use in your requirements. This truly terrible requirement we recently found is wrong for so many reasons, but just look at the punctuation. The requirement is so bad that even the author got lost and failed to close the opening bracket. Now, we're convinced that if the author of this requirement had read this requirement out loud, they would have immediately realized that something very wrong had happened. So, to wrap up Module 5, characteristics of a good quality requirement include correct spelling and correct use of punctuation. For spelling, be cognizant of the standard body or the selected project language that you are supposed to be using, and then use that consistently. Set the right dictionary in Microsoft Office and use the spell checker as an additional barrier. Be careful on the underuse or overuse of comma, and check Oxford comma online to see some more examples of how that particular oddity should be used to avoid project change orders or expensive court cases.